Yo, welcome in. Frank's retirement home. Monday night, week 8, Canes division. It's the 1 and the 2 seed. It is Death Dealers versus Kaldr's Good Boys. My name is Anthony Malm, joined by Zach Vexel. And we've got ourselves Salty running production. Hopefully not pressing the buttons all too salty. Zach, this is an anticipated matchup. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. As you said, an extremely anticipated matchup. And I have to say, Anthony, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. What's it been? What, 24 hours since we casted a set together? That's way
Almost
too
not
long.
even.
Almost not even.
You gotta be careful.
So,
Kingfisher's gonna get very jealous of you.
okay, look, I've seen Fisher jealous, and it's something like, okay, when you hold your hand on the little kid's head and they're swinging and swinging. No, I'm kidding. No, I love Fisher. I love Fisher. It's all right, Fish. I didn't mean it. Calder's Good Boys versus Death Dealers, though, like you said, two great teams. A lot of competition between these teams. Calder's Good Boys, the one going into the season, everybody thought these were going to be the top dog, and Death Dealers have been absolutely putting up a show and have been doing a phenomenal job. So I'm going to be excited to see how this ends up faring up, and this has to be one of my favorite picks in the game. And I get to see it in first pick slot. The Odin getting hovered, getting locked in. Odin is here. Odin is with us in the first pick.
Odin is with us in the first pick, and that kind of makes me wonder if this new meta of Cthulhu just crouching and crawling his way to the top of the picks might be something Death Dealers could be considering. Odin is a great counter to Cthulhu, but instead, Death Dealers going with the old reliable, the Athena Cuckoo. Haven't seen that recently enough, right? Walk me through so far. Is there a plan, or is it just we throw meta at the wall because we know it sticks?
I can say, just because I love hyping him up every single week on the podcast, Thor's loves to play aggressive on the Death Dealers team comp. He's always been one for the Ares. He's been recently diving into the Odin, so maybe that's one reason Calder's Good Boys were taking that one away from him. But not having either of those available, the Athena is really another great pick. You're able to have that global presence, and he's somebody who I don't think will shy away from using that ultimate appropriately, so to say, to make sure that he's applying that pressure around the map. And what better god to really pair that up with than a massive tornado that procs much faster, the Zephyr into a poly auto, and then that Spirit of the Nine Winds just ripping through right after. I think the Kukulkan is great for objective secure, it's great for team fights, it's great for corridors and stuff like that. And this Kukulkan Athena doesn't show too much of the draft so far. Over on the Calder's Good Boys side, following up that Odin pickup with the Kuzumbo, with the Hachiman. Hachiman being what is supposedly our number one ADC in the game right now. Just the god does so much damage and is super safe. It's a treat to see in the Kuzumbo, who probably fares very well into the double hunter comps that we're seeing. But with his two being able to stand in a tornado and kind of reflect some of that damage, get his cooldowns back, I think it's going to be very interesting.
I always like to listen for the stuff that sticks out when I hear my chair two kind of giving their overarching thoughts of a game. And one thing that you said that is kind of perfect to bring up, given the first three selections from Calder's Good Boys, you talked about Double Hunter. And Odin does support a Double Hunter very well. Kuzenbo, arguably to some, is a counter to Double Hunter. That also has been picked up. So could we be seeing a Chernabog, maybe a Chiron over in this mid lane for Calder's Good Boys?
I think it's extremely likely, it's extremely doable. Just look at some of these bans from these two teams. The AMC was a priority ban from the Culture's Good Boys, and that's someone who we most notably see go over towards mid. On her can kind of flex in either or, no problem. The Marty getting banned away from the Death Dealers over there in that second phase, their first ban in the second phase. That's somebody who we generally also see mostly move towards the mid and hover towards that middle lane play. So I think it's in both of these people's minds, or both of these teams' minds, that Hunters being played in the mid lane is a strong possibility and a strong likelihood for that matter. So on top of having the Odin, they have great front line with the Calder's Good Boys. Between caging somebody, between the CC of the Kuzumbo being able to lock somebody down, great disengage tools as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we just look towards a Hunter pickup, and they're really taking their time to talk about it.
Yeah, they got to make sure they've got the right choice out. The Cerberus lockdown. You talked about we've seen each other in the last 24 hours. This was something that we saw yesterday was a Cerberus solo running that double Guardian. And it went okay, but It's one of those things that I talked about having a strong opinion on the Kuzenbo and how it plays around double hunters. The double guardian opinions, that's something I know you in particular have strong thoughts about.
I have a great enjoyment of this double frontline team comp if there's
Moving the
a
Fae.
place for it. And I say this because, all right, cool. We saw some Cthulhu in our recent times casting together, and it just didn't feel right. You're this big, tanky body who stands up in front of the enemy team and soaks up too many autos into a double hunter team comp. It just doesn't feel good. The Cerberus kind of applies something a little bit differently. You have the Prot Shred with it too. It's going to do wonders for the Kugel Khan and that magical damage. You're going to be able to lock some people down. Odin doesn't have CC immunity in his kit. If you get him off a jump, great. That's going to look awesome. Kuzenbo shred him down too. Being able to shred through this front line, this tanky front line of the Kaldr's Good Boys is going to be quite phenomenal. And the Ao Kuang, if somebody like Ao Kuang and the Morgan Le Fay who get picked up here in the second phase are at all in a bad position, this Cerberus is going to be able to punish it clear as day, no problem. Going to be able to shut them down, shred their prots, and burn their relics. There's so much that it can do, and it opens up the opportunities for a Ravana to just slip over, jump over the top with that Mystic Rush, deal the increased damage. So now you're prot shredded, you're taking increased damage from this Ravana. I think there's a lot of potential.
The final ADC, final character for game number 1 is being hovered. Could be a Shibalanke. I was going to ask you if you were leaning Rama or Shibalanke. Seems like we've already got our answer as they both kind of fit a need for death dealers. They will lock down that X ball. So no double hunter for Calder's Good Boys, instead choosing to go the route of the MLF. And the Ao Kuang does do a lot here, especially as you were kind of hinting at that tanky frontline dive. Cerberus and Athena not going to have the best experience without Kwong, but diving a little bit deeper, there's always that talk of displacement. And Calder's Good Boys got a chain, a cage, excuse me, and it got Kuzenbo spinning in circles, keeping you from getting comfortable. How does that impact the Death Dealer's team fight?
You got to watch out for the Google Khan. He's going to be in a very peculiar position. So is the X Ball, to be honest, about these two picks who can get caught into a cage and just what's going to come in over the top. A Morgan Le Fay is going to be able to dump her kid across that. Hachiman might even mount at archery. He can hit across that entire cage. Kuzmo could just spin around inside the cage the entire time. All Odin has to do is blink in, press the cage, and then jump back to his backline. And congrats. Now you've done your job there of getting your engage off. You're back on your backline. Now you swap with the Kuzenbo and do a switch where your backline tank moves to the front line, your front line tank moves to the back line, and somebody's covering your back line. You did your engage, their turn to do theirs. It creates so much disruption for what's going to be the death dealers if it is executed absolutely properly. Each one of these characters is going to get caught in the cage. Cerberus going to be able to have a leap out. Ravana going to be able to use the Mystic Rush out. Athena using her ultimate. Defenders of Olympus out as well. But nobody wants to expend their ultimate to leave an Odin cage. It feels absolutely miserable. And you were saying, is it going to be the X Ball? Is it going to be the Rama? I was leaning towards Rama myself. Someone who can be super safe, someone who can clear extremely well, and when paired up with either Cerberus or Athena in the lane, can really put up some good damage numbers on top of it. So I'm kind of surprised and also not to see the X Ball, because when you look at the Death Dealers team comp, it screams team fight to me. And who's better than team fight than someone who can just turn out the lights on the enemy team?
Turning out the lights will be nice, and at least there is some CC immunity spread where you need it for the Ao Kuang. One thing I am interested in is with the Kuzenbo, with the Odin, with having that ability to kind of W key at somebody and not be too afraid. And then with a backline who, in terms of Hachi, MLF, playing safe. Ao Kuang has his task. Chibalanke, what kind of build are we looking at? Because if you're saying that we need to look at the Cuckoo damage, the X Ball damage, and then that's the key, keeping them safe on the Death Dealers from Calder's Good Boys, then what kind of build will support them in doing that?
Penetration. Honestly, at the end of the day, anytime you see this double tanky front line, because at any moment Odin and Kuzenbo could switch places, like I was mentioning, and the other one could be the frontline support or frontline engage, who's just in your face and being the absolute disruption nuisance that they are. So penetration is going to work well on either one of them. You're going to be able to sit there and get some good damage off, consistent damage off, and that's going to help out your team. And On top of it, too, you're looking at your team. You have some nice magical shred with the Cerberus. You have some nice magical damage with the Kukulkan. Good CC between Athena, between the Ravana, between the Cerberus. There's great potential here for this team to be able to pull beads and just lock people down, blow them up, burst them with the Kukulkan. Now you just need something to shred people down, and I think the penetration on the Expo is going to be able to do it and open up some opportunities.
Well, it did start that death's toll, so we'll see if that is the route he goes. We know Zach will be looking forward. Welcome into game number 1 here in Frank's retirement home between Kaldr's Good Boys and the Death Dealers. Number 2 versus the number 1 seed. Always a great matchup. So Zach, I'm Anthony Malum. We got Salty in production. What lane should we be keeping our eyes on?
Death Dealers need to fight over here in this dual lane early, I believe, in order to really put this Hachiman in a predicament. We're seeing engages happen over here. No Horrifics getting popped as of yet. But one thing's for certain is the Kaldr's Good Boys team has a lot of pressure after clearing the wave, and it looks like they're already forced to use the beads.
The autos are pretty on point, but this has been a deep dive from Kaldr's Good Boys, and Robin is here to help the Xbalanque be safe. The Kuzenbo was still able to find more damage, which called back Death Dealers from chasing down that Hachiman, which could lead to some safety. Now all of a sudden, Robin's the one taking poke from the minions. They'll have to get out of dodge, and nothing negative for the Ao Kuang happened through any of that, Zach.
It felt like that entirely was in control by the Kaldr's Good Boys. Even just the Robin rotating in, thinking he was going to be able to get some poke off. The problem is, your dual lane's already poked out, and most certainly Foosh is already poked out, having to sit under his tower. He's not going to be able to join you in this endeavor of coming up, stepping up, looking for some poke damage, or maybe even looking for the pick, even to punish the Hachiman, who dashed up in front of your tower line already. It was unfortunate. It allowed the Hachi, Big Black Banana, to just turn and just start pelting some autos into this Robin, who can't do anything early. And, I mean, it showed right there. He went the Vibrant Shard, and unfortunately, I'm not somebody who really agrees with the Vibrant Shard. I actually wonder, with the cooldown shard, if he got the kill by being able to get another cycle of his abilities off, and that's my personal opinion. I just don't see the items worth.
Well, the Ao Kuang that I mentioned is now in solo. Robin's not going to be here for a hot minute. I don't know if Cerberus even has 30 more seconds. Already low, but not dead quite yet. Gets past the Bastion, will be okay. Kaldr's Good Boys could not lock it down despite the late rotation and response from the Robin. That's huge for Death Dealers to get that Cerberus out of there. You do not want that big dog. Glad I didn't say the first option behind. I'm already rubber room and we're not even 3 minutes in. Franks breaks my brain.
Come on, we're just starting, just getting warm-up cast right now. Here. On the day, what was it, Monday? Yeah, it's Monday. All right, warm-up cast on Monday night. Yeah, the route from the Ravana was phenomenal right there. Being able to make the rotation, albeit late, coming and peeling for his Cerberus, making sure that this Guardian doesn't fall behind early, and that is the struggle playing the Guardians in the solo lane. If you do fall behind, it feels miserable. You're not getting blue buffs, you're not getting totem buffs, and as soon as Cerberus takes over to 5, though, we're going to see a little bit of a shift up in this lane. He's got to catch up right now on some XP, and this is a support mentality that I just love and miss, because take a look at that damage that is getting dealt to Thors from just existing, trying to tank up 2 buffs, and the Kukulkan having to waste time rotating on over here to help clear the buffs.
Hey, Mr. Nacho! Representing the production, grabbing a solo kill in the solo lane on the Stretch Milk. We talked about the need for Cerberus to not fall behind. Instead, the first blood goes to the red side. And Stretch Milk has to take the time back. Could be more kills to follow in duo. The stun's going to find a home on the Athena. But you need the autos. You got the mounted archery. It pops too. Banana with the double kill early on.
You're behind in duo, and that just doesn't feel good. You know, they ticked over to 5. They even ticked over to 6 before you could do anything, because the entire time you're over there just trying to secure your own buffs. The Hachiman is solo farming waves, got his buff, got the green buff down, walked back, got another wave. He's insanely massive off of just existing right now, and Dirty Bubble could not have played that better by just standing there, applying pressure to the dual lane of the Death Dealers. That was insane on what just happened, and great coordination and just a great play by them over in the solo lane. I think I was kind of saying exactly what I was. If this Cerberus hits 5, it's going to be a different story. As soon as Cerberus hit 5, look what happened. I'm assuming what went down over here. Odin bird bombed onto the wave, and Cerberus was like, great, you're dead now. You know, I'm just going to knock you with my ultimate, pull you back, shred your prods, burst you down, jump on top of you, heal off you, rinse, repeat, pop that cooldown shard, and do it again.
Some changes in the Odin build, which feels on topic to talking about the soul lane. It looks like he might have started with a different item and sold it off. I honestly did not see what it was, but having that tier 2 working into Genji's in the 3rd slot of your items, maybe thought the Cerberus was going to be the Rob. I don't know what you would have thought it would have been, but maybe just an item misstep. Speaking of a misstep, later Jet forever. But my question to you now overall, we were 5 minutes in, we've seen the Hachiman go crazy in the duo lane. We've seen this Ao Kwang get a lead. You mentioned duo, fighting was the pressure. It looks like Death Dealers are off at the pressure. So where do we go from here?
Death Dealers need to be able to claim their stake over in that dual lane, whether it be just kind of holding out long enough in order to make a rotation over there. I think is going to be very crucial. Your Cerberus is doing fine over on this end of the map. And I kind of want to see Nacho make a nice early rotation for a Gold Fury within the next few minutes. I don't want it to be when the beacon's going to be spawning. No, do something over here nice and early. 2 minutes, honestly. What, God. Kuzumbo, ladies and gentlemen. Existing inside of the tower line, existing inside of the face of the ADC, inside
He's the
of the
ADC
head
now.
of the ADC, actually.
There is a ton onto Bubble. Kuzumbo can do a lot. Can you handle 2? He'll dash himself back to the Hachiman, who is waiting for backup. That won't cost the purple buff. We'll go to the Hachi. There's a dash in, looking for the Athena. Meanwhile, Nox is able to clean up Mr. Nacho in that soul lane with some help from the Odin. Dual lane fight still kicking. Kuzumbo eyes the X-Ball. So does the Horsey. Down goes! Swoosh! Robin, time to run. Athena's got a purple buff meter there. And Kaldr's good boys pick up 2 more kills.
Whoosh needs to have a one-track mind, and that is getting his farm online. Right now, it's a battle of the scaling between these two ADCs. Who's going to get online first? Is it going to be the Hachi? Is it going to be the X-Ball? And right now, everything is screaming that it's Hachiman. Nene Kappa, please stop. Stop it.
Get out of there, Bubble. He's dead. Good as dead. One auto. The body block is huge. I don't care about the Cuckoo kill. Oh, there he goes. Bubble down. Cuckoo also died. But the Athena kill was way more fun.
Absolutely. May just get kills every day, but it's not every day the enemy support is diving your speed buff because of the Kappa patrol running through and seeing what they could find.
Kappa patrol. I like that. He's got a little salute.
When I play him in the jungle and I go full damage, I call it the Kappa Slapper. It just
we're
so
using
much
that this
damage.
cast, 100%.
Oh, if it gets a kill, oh yeah. It's the Kappa Slap all day. It feels so great when you're just building damage, you just level that up and it just hits somebody. So, teleport is active. I was saying these two ADCs.
You realize I was dragging you too deep into the chaos, and we're not even at 10 minutes, and you were like, okay, what's on the map I can talk about that isn't this psychosis of a video game? Kukulkan in some trouble in the mid lane. We'll have to get away, but look behind at the Ao Kwang, looking at that Athena. But Kuzubo's used a lot of the CC on the Cuckoo already. Cuckoo will be alright. Be able to back up.
It's going to be alright. He's got a little bit of a level down here. Level and a half. Almost 2 levels now for the other mid. And you're seeing this in the mid. You're seeing this over in the ADC. The only lane that I wanted to say you kind of have this neutral pressure in is a solo. And while pressure is neutral, you look down about half a level as well. Unfortunate that the speed buff, while getting grouped with the red buff, gets stolen away by the Kaldr's good boys right there. They are playing extremely aggressive here in game number 1.
I don't know how much more aggressive you can be than having a dance party in their jungle. Odin joins the party, puts down the cage, but the only one dunking so far is Lanston. Stretch Milk will turn it right on back. Kuzumbo still wants to fight, gonna grab Cerberus, but getting in the way of the dragon. Doesn't die though, and now the Kappa gonna send you to a Napa, Mr. Nacho. Taking a graycation. Odin will go for the retreat, and Kaldr's good boys will take their kill, take their loss, and get out.
2 for 1, and I want to say it could have been a little bit more Cleaner from both of these sides, but I want to also say that getting this Ao Kuang off the map, I think, was pretty solid. You traded jungle for jungle, so neither of them are actually building a lead off of it, but shutting down the Ao Kuang, albeit he didn't have a kill streak online as of yet. He was 2-0-1. It's a little extra gold in pocket, though, which is really nice. Robin being only 1-0-1, so to say, before he ended up falling, so it's hard to say which one actually got that kill over, who is getting any sort of bounty, but I believe the Ao Kuang dying was a little bit more valuable. It's such a stretch to say for stretch milk them.
Getting to can kind of
but I
zoom
saw
in
the
on
name.
that fight and look for the smaller things you can take away from the fight. Kukulkan has been having a rougher time in terms of damage so far and getting it across, but a big ultimate there to not grab the kill, but to assure some safety for Thor's will be nice. Chibalanke gonna get soloed out by Banana. Oh, again, going back to what you were talking about, Zek, and stepping up too far. That's a scenario here, just like Jet does it in mid. I was just going to give you a compliment! I'm throwing the pen. Robin dives in onto the MLF, gets the ult, has the root, gets the fist, but doesn't have the kick anymore. So MLF will be able to get away. Anyway,
Yeah,
Kukuo
go
gives
ahead.
confidence. It could have helped him. It didn't help him. Blah.
It does. The thing that you can see, and the difference in between the two builds right now, is the Morgan Le Fay built to fight. They have this divine early. They want to look to do something with their early pressure, and that was great. Meanwhile, the Kukulkan went the Book of Thoth build. He wants to stack up. He wants his spike to come on a little bit later. And that's something you got to think about when you pick up these stacking items. When do I want my power spike? Do I want it now? Do I want it later? I'm spending this gold now for something that's going to pay off later, or now. And it looks like right now Bathwater says, cool, now we're fighting now. I'm picking up these items. Gets a Charon's coin even in the second item slot. Knowing that we're just fighting that much, I'm going to be able to stack this up with no problem. Already 5 kills across the KDA. Only 12 minutes into game number 1, but a nice 5k gold lead in favor of the Kaldr's Good Boys.
They've been making it work. They're looking for even more after the gold. They'll find it. Bathwater will bring down Jet forever, thanks to Kuzenbo helping things out. That dual lane still in trouble as well. Shibalanka getting pushed back, so they're going to try to take the fight in mid to maybe get this Stygian Beacon to get some kind of gold back. Death Dealers are working for it, but they've got to fight with the Ao Kuang, the MLF. Shibalanka can't come over because he's about to die in duo, so this is dire straits now for Death Dealers. There's the Odin making the rotation with a bird bomb, does big time damage, gonna force the Mystic Rush out of that Raven, but Ao Kuang blinks through, looks for the execute, can't find it, gets beat, so Bathwater's got his back and brings down Lanston. Now the bird bomb takes out Nacho, and Athena can just watch. The ultimate will do no good here. A horrific for good measure. That's a big fight for Kaldr's Good Boys. They should be able to go back and grab that Stygie B, and they continue to dominate these fights, Zach.
2 for 0, dropping some damage onto this tier 1 tower over in the mid lane, but like you said, an absolutely huge fight for the Kaldr's Good Boys. They are showing that they are here. They are putting up an absolute presence, but hold it right now as the Darkest Knights and the Defenders Limbus are both ripping through. There's a Spirit of the Nine Winds, but the Aegis is good on the Morgan Le Fay. Gets into her ultimate, gonna be able to heal up with that one extremely nicely. Now some low HP bars over on the side of the Kaldr's Good Boys, but the X-Ball, whoosh, a little bit low for Matters himself, extremely low actually. That stun was very good in the tier 1 tower, and the mid is down and no more safety. The bird bomb is good to put Foosh back into the gray screen.
Mr. Nacho was able to clean back up that Odin, though, for diving too aggressive. The CGB finally went down, and if you heard me giggle, that's because I giggled. I could not believe Death Dealers were willing to go back into that fight to take it further. But they did, and honestly, it could have looked worse, all things considered, especially with some of these leads. You talked about the mid lead, you mentioned the jungle lead, the ADC lead obviously is getting pretty significant, but for 8k gold down at 14 minutes, that fight, not bad.
Absolutely not bad. I'm still kind of on that one-track mind of Foosh needs to have a one-track mind. I mentioned a little bit earlier, you need to farm. You need to get caught up because right now, this Hachiman is doing exactly that and more. He's farming off of your deaths. He's farming off of the deaths of others, making rotations, making it look good, able to just apply pressure wherever he goes. He already has this massive lead. He's ahead of the curve of the game. So is the Morgan Le Fay. So is the Odin. You have 3 picks for the Kaldr's Good Boys who are ahead of the minute per level curve right now. And it's showing. It really is. I mean, look at the Morgan Le Fay just ticked over to 16. It's not even 15 minutes right now.
And now picking up a Book of Thoughts, just picking up everything a little out of order today, but making it all work because they're so ahead. I mean, look where they are in the jungle. Xbalanque is going to run into MLF and probably need to go the other way. That will be the case. Just a raid boss in that mid lane for Kaldr's Good Boys. But they're spreading the pressure, Zach. That's what's interesting, and I'm curious if you can take us through why. They've got the raid boss in mid. They've got the secondary backup raid boss in duo and solo, but they're spreading everything everywhere.
It seems like right now, like with the pickup of the Book of Thoth over on the Morgan Le Fay, it's saying that we want to slow it down a little bit going into the mid game as the immediate death dealers don't want to slow it down, almost getting that Spirit of the Nine wins, but my Lanniston ends up getting the pickup over onto Bathwater for sale, and Big Back Banan finds Jet Forever over on the counter return.
There's a knock up onto the Robin, but he'll use it to get the Mystic Rush onto the Yao Kuang to bring him down. Thorus actually with that credit. That Robin's got a lot of gold now from that pick. Now just needs to get out of the fight, but you're bringing him towards X-Ball, and you've got no life left to live. Dirty Bubble find their second kill, and my Lanston will go down. It could be a Primal Fury for Kaldr's Good Boys, but again, that's a significant amount of gold that just went into the pocket of that Robin.
Yeah, I was going to say 2 for 2, but that was 1,000% in favor of the Death Dealers, knocking down Bathwater for sale. That was a 4-0-3. Morgan Le Fay in the mid, who had a massive level lead, like we were talking, who was 2 levels ahead of the minute per level curve and has already caught back up with that curve itself. Going to be able to make their way on back right now and join up with their team, who are pushing up for a fight for Gold Fury right now.
The dog has been put in a cage and can't find his way out, and Big Black Banana is going to make sure that is the case, getting the kill on Mr. Nacho. Odin will just play more defense to set up that 2-on-1 coverage on that Primal Fury. Basketball skin jokes. To jump in onto Kukulkan to keep them back, and that Primal Fury should be all but free if Odin is able to get away. Xbalanque is the only chance really at getting this steal at this point, but it looks like they won't be able to get there in time. It is going down slow, but now you've got backup from the MLF. It will go down. There's the Primal Fury. 17-6 now, coming up in 17 minutes, and we've hit that 10K gold mark, and we've hit it pretty quickly.
I would say pre-20 minutes, pre-25 minutes, even pre-30 minutes, even being 10K down does not feel good, because it feels like at this moment, if the Kaldr's Good Boys want to utilize their lead, they should be pushing into these tier 2 towers right now when the Death Dealers can't even get their middle of the pack items online. Look, you got a Transcendence getting built up over on Ravana in the second item slot, and I said it was pretty decent for Bathwater for sale to pick up that Book of Thoth. You're going to be delaying a power spike, but you're in this point of the game where it seems like they want to slow things down, get some farm online. I don't mind the later stacking items right now because of the change to the stacking items that is more focused on the damage than the kills on the minions. It definitely changed things up on where you're forced to build these items and where you can build them.
My goodness, that damage is significant from the MLF on that consuming power. That's going to buy an opportunity as well for Kuzenbo to find a push onto the Athena. The Grave should do just that. There's a knock-up a bit early for the execute there from the Yao Kuang, so Athena will live to see another day. Robin did use a Panic Beads there that was not necessary, so that's down for the next fight, which will be massive to have that down. Cerberus peeking in the mid lane, will jump in, has Athena on the way. There's the ultimate, but that's a counter engage from Kaldr's Good Boys, and the damage so far has been pretty good from Death Dealers despite that fact. Double kill comes out from my Lanston, and it's a retreat for the boys in blue. They got to get out of dodge. There's too much damage coming their way. Athena going to look for Kuzenbo, who is the lowest. He's going to drop. Jet Forever with the kill. Hachi going to go down as well. It's a double-double so far for Death Dealers. They might just be back in this game. Somehow, they make that fight work.
That was... Oh, you know, we talked about the shutdown on the Morgan Le Fay. But the shutdown on the Hachiman, who was 6-0-2, is even more so massive. Take down that tier 1 tower over in the mid, pressure out this Odin, make him feel like he's getting pressured. Get the beacon, get the pyro. Honestly, I'd be going for a bigger objective. I'd be looking for Fire Giant. I'd be looking for tier 2 tower in mid. I'd be looking for something, clean up, get some gold, be aggressive. You know, I'm the cheerleader over on the side like it's a high school football game. Yeah, but thank you. Thank you. This is the time to do it. This is your opportunity. Good teams come into great teams by recognizing those opportunities. You got Pyromancer, you got Beacon, you got tier 1 tower. That's good. Cool. Let's take it to great. What is the next step? What is next?
What is next is always the question. Where is the stuff after the stuff, yells F. Dot from the roof of his apartment. Where is it? Right there was no fire. And I'm right with you, Zach. I kind of wanted the fire giant. Full send it there. You got the advantage. You get the fire, you back, you reset, you take the firefights, you get your objectives anyway. But Death Dealers, regardless, do find themselves in a much better spot. Remember when I said it was a 10K game? They've brought it all the way back to a 6K and relatively quickly, less than 4 minutes. If Cerberus gets picked, though, not what you want to happen, but maybe he can buy time. Robin, Cuckoo, both on the way. There's the ultimate, going to find the Kuzenbo. The best target here. They realize the same exact thing, and Death Dealers will back up. They'll catch a taunt onto Kuz, but you want to talk about tanky. Look no further than that turtle. Kaldr's good boys will see if they can bait back Death Dealers into a fight, but so far, Death Dealers playing it pretty wisely, Zach.
Stretch Milk hasn't backed yet from that previous fight. Does have the persistent teleport available if they want to do something, and they're looking really aggressive now. Not able to get a pick over there for the Fire Giant, which is what I was assuming was the plan, and they weren't just being super aggressive for a whole lot of nothing. Gonna make their rotation over to the Gold Fury. It is going to be an Oni Fury spawning very soon. And again, everybody's still lurking around here. Odin still nearby, still half HP from the previous fight.
An Oni Fury, a full sell for it, a sellout for it, could be possible. Death Dealers so far have been picking fights wisely in these last few minutes. They've looked like a different team. At one point, Zach was talking about the MLF level 16 at 14 minutes. It's 21 minutes, level 19. So MLF's damage has stagnated, and Kaldr's good boys need that help, especially when Kuzenbo goes in and finds a 5-man watery grave and no one's around, so it does not, in fact, make a sound. Death Dealers still getting backed away, though. No interest in picking a fight with the Odin. They've got Athena in mid. Watch out for that ultimate, could come by. Kuzenbo going to bring back the Cerberus, who jumps forward, gets caught in the cage. Has ult online, but has taken a lot of numbies. There's the execute from Noxus to take out the dog early on. That'll open up a chance for the Oni Fury.
Open up the chance, and definitely Kaldr's good boys are seeing this as their opportunity, making their way on over there, but no cage, no execute, no watery grave available. Death Dealers can walk on in. Darkness of Nights are already dropped, but so is the Gold Fury's HP. It's gone back to 0. And the Kaldr's good boys pick up that Oni Fury for themselves.
Now Kaldr's good boys have to decide what they want to do, what their stuff is after the other stuff. They've got Fire Giant on the map. They've got tier 2 towers. They've got Oni Fury pushing here soon. But they've still got leads from earlier on when things were going a lot smoother to work with. World's kind of your oyster, which usually isn't the case when Fire Giant is yet to be done, Zek. So they've got options. Ao Kwang, if he can get out, will be a part of those options. He does get away. So what are you looking for? What would your call be?
I think the Death Dealers, albeit I think there's ways to clean this up. There's ways to make it look a little bit better right now in the past couple minutes, but they've been playing it exactly how they should in the grand scheme of things, okay? Like I said, could clean up some things, could make it look a little bit better. But look, the first person just ticked over to level 20. It's 22, 23 minutes. Meanwhile, they were 2 levels ahead of the minute per level curve. Like, they could have ticked over at 18 had they kept at that pace. That would have been 4 or 5 minutes ago that these people could have been level 20, had upgraded starters, and been an absolute menace. And I'm talking about the Ao Kwang, I'm talking about the Hachiman, I'm talking about the Morgan Le Fay, these people who are just absolutely coasting through game number 1 so far. Death Dealers have made a great comeback, slowed that down, allowed themselves to catch back up. Now, they need to take over to level 20. Kaldr's good boys are utilizing this chance that they have to have some starter upgrades online. You got that cowl online from the Hachiman, you got the spear online from the Ao Kwang. This is going to be their opportunity if they don't seize it before Death Dealers take over to 20 themselves and upgrade their starters.
Pyro is the call for Kaldr's good boys. They've got 2 in the mid lane just in case. Odin Cage has gone out. Ao Kwang steps up, gets some poke on the Cerberus, who will use his ultimate in kind. This is a lot of 4s being pressed for not a lot of gains so far, aside from positional standing. Kaldr's good boys doing the better of it. They've got Death Dealers pushed back to their tier 2 tower, so they're going to be the ones who fall back. Kaldr's good boys will be the ones daring Death Dealers to walk at that Fire Giant.
Cage is down already, and they're going to be able to face check this one, and I think they want to do it themselves. One thing I can say for certain is Odin is playing extremely aggressive and is not getting punched, but this Fire Giant is down to half HP already.
Aggressive is the key, and Kaldr's good boys sure knew the same exact thing, but there's a response in the Raven isn't good enough. Not so far, because Noxus has already taken care of two. My Lanston can only bring down Bathwater, but he goes gone in trade. Athena has nowhere to go. The Horrific makes her slow enough, and the autos take her down. Death Dealers left with one. Kaldr's good boys make another fight work. They do lose. Bathwater for sale. So is that a Fire Giant? They're looking at a tier 2 tower. Instead, Odin jumping forward to make sure that Kukulkan has no interest in taking the fight. That will be a tier 2 tower gone.
This is definitely the correct call. Get pressure on the mat. Forward pressure, work your way back. And right now, they want to get a little bit more kill pressure onto this Kukulkan. Stun is good, forces the beads of the Kukulkan, but Stretch Milk, a little bit of a stretch there myself, I would say. Sending him on back to the gray screen. I don't know about diving the Cuckoo. He's got his poly, he sneezes on you, and that's kind of just it, especially when you're taking up those Phoenix shots.
That was a limit test. You know, Stretch needed to back anyway.
Yeah, it's just quick backing.
Yeah, no biggie.
Nah,
no biggie.
No, none at all. Yeah, we don't need to dive into it too much and overanalyze it. It was clearly intended.
Exactly, for sure. That does bring us now at 25-30. Ao Kuang is deep in the left side jungle. Xbalanque is aware, but Ao Kuang does have plenty of tools to escape and actually able to get that purple buff as well. 22-12 reads the kill feed. Just under that 10k gold mark for Kaldr's good boys leading Death Dealers. Fire Giant still available. Kuzumbo spinning to win. Kukulkan not able to answer back with much. Does damage to the Odin. Not as much solo onto the Kuzembo.
It really feels like right now the Kaldr's good boys are struggling in the DPS department, being able to shred down these two tanks. And I want to say most in particular, this Odin, who's got, what, 20, 30, 40, 50% CDR in his pocket. The guy's absolutely chilling and has zero issue with it. One thing I can say for certain that happened in that last fight as he bird bombs the wave in mid, absolutely careless, is that the Greater Horrific Emblem over around the belt of Thor's got used so late. I mean, like, at the end of the fight was over and it got used, and that is such a huge tool, even for going into the Odin. I see him up, down, in Bird Bomb, and that's going to remove some of that shield effectiveness.
The Athena's effectiveness has been completely removed by Noxus. Fire Giant acquired for Kaldr's good boys as well. Now it's time to what? Be aggressive. Be look out for that dragon. So much damage has found Kaldr's good boys, but that's not going to stop them. Nom Noms hit Mr. Nacho. Now it's a chance. Kaldr's good boys, 3 to get through. A land down from that Ao Kuang. Mid-Phoenix Siege begins. Odin with the jump in, looking for the Kukulkan, looking for the Raven. They're both low. Timelines are getting procced. Kicks are being used, but nothing is helping. Nothing is stopping those good boys, except the mid-Phoenix still have yet to kill it. Down to half health. There it goes. Now the chance, the 5-on-1. 5 seconds till Thor's is up. Good boys have to play this smart. It's not free quite yet. The Raven goes in, gets caught out, still not brought down. There he goes. Titan at half health. Throne Room Siege is on. The Athena versus the world. The taunts are good, but it's going to be difficult. It, in fact, was impossible. Kaldr's good boys take game 1.
A really great game, I think, between these two teams. Kaldr's good boys are showing that the league's proper seed number 1 might just be in their hands. Everybody was kind of talking all season that the Kaldr's good boys have a phenomenal roster, and they really do. They show up to play, and it looks great today. You know, against the number 1 seed, being able to take a game off somebody who 2-0'd you back in week number 5. I got that correctly. I did. Back in week number 5.
Let's go.
Yeah, we know our stats. Back in week 5, the Death Dealer's taking a 2-0 off you, and now you're coming out this strong in week number 8, immediately taking game number 1 off of them. It looked clean, it looked good. They had the pressure early, and they kept it. A little bit of a slowdown coming up to that 15 to 20 minute mark, but in terms of the momentum, it still felt like it was in their favor. It just felt like Death Dealers needed to pull it back a little bit more, and it was a little bit nicer in that 15 to 20 minute mark, like I said. I think one of the big things that could have turned that game around was that one fight we talked about where they did absolutely dominate, and I'm talking about the Death Dealers under their tier 2 tower. It felt like they didn't do enough with that opportunity. They went from 10k to 6k, and it sounds like, okay, you know, it's a 4k close off of a single team fight. Absolutely. But it could have been a 5, 6, 7k close, plus a fire giant, potential to have the pressure in your favor. There could have been so many other options, in my opinion, that there could have been done. I think that was the biggest opportunity. As for the game as a whole, I think Death Dealers just need to be able to play this laning phase a lot better into their counterparts and be able to, I guess, understand how to pick, understand how to build into what they're seeing during draft phase, and not just think drafting is a separate part from then what the game is.
There will be a 14-question test on everything Zach just said. Make sure your notes are ready. It's open book. Question 15 is a freebie. It's who's a good boy? Answer was Kaldr's. They were the good boys indeed. We'll be right back on Frank's retirement home with game number 2 in the Canes division. Hello, welcome back in. Game number two between Death Dealers now on the Order side and Kaldr's Good Boys on the Chaos side. It's week 8, the Kane's division of Frank's retirement home. My name's Anthony Malm, joined by Zach Vexel with Salty on production.
Anthony, game one just felt like Calder's Good Boys took the lead, held the lead, pushed the lead, fell down a little bit of a trip, but it's okay. They didn't like trip and fall on their face kind of trip. No, just a trip and like, oh, okay, we caught ourselves. We're good. Let's pick it back up. Go for the next fire giant. Take a very nice fight. Rinse, repeat, walk it down, and call it a day. And they just put away game number one, I think, nice and cleanly. And I mean, before EFG spawning, before pre 30 minutes, I think that's huge here in this season of Smite.
Huge indeed. The picks are or the bans rather, are really interesting to me. Death Dealers have no interest in that Hachiman making its way back onto the battleground of the gods. But there's still a lot of good ADCs out there. The Odin is a much more interesting band to me because that tells me that whatever the Odin is bringing, Kaldr's Good Boys are planning around the concept of it. But having first pick, losing your Odin, you lost your Hachiman, now you also lose your Kuzenbo as Death Dealers take it away, Zach.
I've been screaming this Odin pick, and like I've been playing him pre-buff, and seeing the changes on him just got me absolutely excited. Kuzenbo, I think someone who, we talked about in game one, a lot of displacement, a lot of potential there with this pick. But when you look at this draft from the Calder's Good Boys, again, extremely, extremely tanky right there. And the Cthulhu getting picked up, not going to have the Odin available to utilize the cage, but I think there's still a lot of really great options to use into Sobek, into Cthulhu, both. The Ganesha being one of them, Ymir being another one. There's a lot of potential there with just those two picks alone. And Terra, who just got a nice buff, and I mean a very, very nice buff having that dash at level 1, opening up opportunities to increase pressure at level 1 in lane.
Kind of looks like they were banking on that Kuzenbo selection, and the Odin ban was to protect the Cthulhu. So Calder's Good Boys playing the long con here to grab that Lulu, as you were calling it yesterday. Speaking of yesterday, we saw a lot of Cthulhu. So we have a good idea of what to expect out of the laning phase, but I'm curious, going into yesterday, you weren't a big fan. You weren't very sold on the Cthulhu solo. Have the stocks risen for you, or are they still a bit rough?
Still rough. I'm going to say. I think the Double Hunter meta just fits so perfectly into it, but right now, Death Dealer's hovering this Agni. I don't like that. When I see a Sobek and Cthulhu, I have to say, I think that is just danger waiting to happen. The Double Hunter shreds this Cthulhu. If I'm really looking for a mage over in the mid lane, I want something that has kind of just blow up, burst, lockdown, that kind of stuff. And every time I even think that, I think Poseidon, I think that is a phenomenal avenue into this Cthulhu, but we might see a Nemesis come out, and I'm pretty sure I've seen the Death Dealers pull this one out multiple times in the past. The Agni does end up getting locked in along with an on her. Gonna have that pillar available, and it's something that can help just kind of persuade that Lulu into not coming in. Okay, cool, you're trying to come through a jungle, and you can have a perfect pillar placement to prevent him from coming through a certain junction, but not as much as what you could have with like a Ymir or, well, Odin, to say the least.
There's been a lot of trying to think what the best way of describing it is. There's been a lot of discussion around pressure and what makes a team fight good. Agni and Honor feel like two characters I think of when I'm trying to think of a team, especially classic teams, making a team fight composition work that's just plain and simple, we're doing damage. Kuzenbo sets up for that really, really well. With the Ishtar being locked in for Calder's Good Boys, we've got our look at our first three on each side. What kind of jungle presence and solo presence can make this Death Dealers comp really excel?
Mentioned the Nemesis. I think that's something that can open up a great opportunity
Sure.
because you have this tanky front line of the Calder's Good Boys with the Lulu and Sobek, and who better to shred prots and stuff than Nemesis herself. There's also potential for other gods whose names are doing a great job at slipping my mind. I think the Achilles is a great opportunity here into the Lulu is something that can just honestly, when I see the Cthulhu, I think of banning away the Achilles, the Odins, things like that. These double hunters when they're in the Metarama being available could be another avenue too, but unfortunately the Death Dealers are already seem to be set in stone with their mid and ADC pick over there. So it really comes down to how they are going to play the solo. I mean, I could see an ADC over in the solo lane, and I probably might not be too against it.
Did not expect to see a Changa. I did not have that in the bingo card.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of healing again, moving along with their front line.
Yep, that's a Changa. That's a Changa moment. That's a Changa response.
They need. Oh, oh,
I was gonna
okay.
say, so let's try to take a step back. It's a bit unorthodox. We haven't seen it a lot lately. She isn't necessarily the worst character in the game. That'd be way too much of a stretch for the
Oh,
Changa.
I have no issue with the Chang'e, actually, especially with
Okay, so yeah,
the
go
two
cook, cook,
tanks of
cook.
the. I mean, I think the Kaldr's good boys are the ones doing the cooking themselves. It kind of speaks for them itself, in my opinion. You have this extremely tanky front line. It looks to me like they just want to deathball and move together as a unit, which means this last pick that's going to come out for them is probably going to be something that can assist in that dive, that can get in there with them. So how do you utilize that? I don't see too much in terms of spreading it out and displacing outside of the Kuzenbo, but that's kind of this one-time ordeal, and you're not really going to be able to use that Watery Grave against a Lulu in his transformation or a Sobek in that murky waters.
Indeed, indeed, Bastet getting locked down. That will clean up the final pick for Calder's Good Boys. So it's everybody's favorite time of the picks and bans, Zach. It's time to look at the teams at a on paper basis. Who's got your advantage? What are the big things for us to look for?
Right now, I'm looking at the multiple avenues of the Kaldr's Good Boys team comp. I see pick with the Sobek, Bastet, Chang'e, beads burning for days with these three picks. Ishtar too can do the exact same. So a lot of potential there to burn relics. Then you come down to how well they're going to play in a team fight. And well, Lulu goes up, gets big. Sobek decides to go in himself, maybe pull somebody back, but then is in there himself, goes down into the murky waters. Chang'e should be up there with him all the while. Ishtar's just running down whoever they're running down, chasing down, just following up, and Bastet should be lurking around and just trying to pick people off, or even just try to pick off this Nemesis and keep her out of the fight, because right now, with that Nemesis gone, with that Nemesis removed from being in the face of the Death Dealers, I think they're going to be able to storm right through a team fight. If I'm looking at it on paper, I don't see many other avenues for the Death Dealers team comp to be able to stop what the Kaldr's Good Boys are putting out right now. And I think that's kind of why I wanted to see maybe a double ADC team comp to be able to shred through the amount of tankiness that the Kaldr's Good Boys had, because it felt like when you look back at game one, they just didn't have enough. And it was like, what do they not have enough of? Is it presence? Is it playing together? Is it just DPS on the same target? Is the ability to have that DPS in the individual characters? What feels like it's missing? And it feels like there's multiple pieces in that, but I want to say it was just that ability on the gods to be able to DPS a single target.
And single target has kind of been answered by this, but at the same time, are there any single target fights in Canes? Because I haven't had too many. You definitely have had more than me, but in the ones I've seen, the 1v1s are very, very rare, and the 5v5 death brawls are plenty of common.
I want to say Death Dealers need to be on the same target together. And truly, that should always be the case if you're picking this Nemesis. But what happens if you get your first pick? You know, you're saying really that this Nemesis Ultimate needs to be saved for the Cthulhu? But then you have to deal with the Sobek pluck into Ishtar, and like we were talking about with that pick-based team comp, with the Sobek, Chang'e, and the Ishtar and the Bastet, and you know the burning beads, they could do a whole lot. It does feel like if this Nemesis isn't available for the Death Dealers, they're going to be in a struggling position. Two of their big picks right now, in terms of just DPS, being the Nemesis for the tankiness and the Agni for just that AoE control, both not having CC immunity in base kit is going to be a little bit of a dangerous factor for the Kaldr's Good Boys. Well, for the Death Dealers, but thankful for the Kaldr's Good Boys.
We are about to head into game number 2 between Death Dealers and Calder's Good Boys. One more time, my name's Anthony Malm, joined by Zach Vexel. Salty is going to be pushing all of the buttons for this game, as well for game 1. And if there's a game 3, which a 1 and a 2 seed, you'd kind of go in expecting usually games to go the distance. May not be the case this time, but we won't know until things start going crazy. And Zach, I would expect crazy because that's what I'm becoming conditioned to expect in Canes. So I want to, for example, I want to ask you my usual, what lane are you looking at? Because I like to know where your head's at. But for me, it's kind of just look at the map and see who's dead.
I want to say this dual lane. Both lanes pick to fight. Both sides pick to fight in this lane right away. Just getting the pillar off and impaling the Ishtar out so she's not able to clear the waves. Then it's going to come down to these jungle rotations. One thing I have to say, though, that kind of upset me a little bit is there's no blink on this Chang'e. And I say that with all respect. I really wanted to see blink on Chang'e, blink on Bastet being able to get on in here, but wow. Speaking of getting on in here, the bath water for sale maybe just didn't want to be in there. First blood going the way of my Lanniston stepping up, coming on in. This Chang'e was in a bad position this early in the game.
You cannot allow that to happen. Certainly can't give those first bloods away for free. There is a lot of damage and response link back to that Agni, who has the now backup, so that works out decent for Kaldr's good boys. At least they get some poke in return. Dule hasn't stopped throwing hands yet. The supports v supports, and the On Her is doing numbies to that Ishtar, who now is the one falling back. On Her didn't take jump, though. Now, with Kuzenbo being pressured, that's a turn that Death Dealers probably did not want to happen.
No, I almost wonder if a wing shard would have changed that outcome. And I say this because I feel like the relics and, well, the shard options, I'm not going to be given a chance, are I? No, I'm not. Okay, thank you for that one. My Lanniston just coming on back, and we don't need to talk about that. Bathwater for sale getting sent back to the gray screen. Knocked back twice in a row. Death Dealers keeping up the pressure on this Chang'e in the mid, I think, is going to be a really big eye-opener.
Eye-opener, cat scratcher, eye scratcher. Bastet in the duo looking for a gank that is not there. Sobek with an ambitious pluck will take a tower shot for it. Should be fine to walk away, but man was willing to play the aggressive game. There is an invade now coming out from the Bastet, so Death Dealers should be aware of it with that Bastet having not left fully. Agni is actually beginning a light rotation. We'll see if it's a full rotation and they want the full fight. That is the case. So here comes that Agni. Kuzenbo stepping in already, trying to secure that blue down. Going to be a 2v2. Damage real good from that Agni, forcing the Bastet to dash away. Sobek, tougher story. Trying to hold on, trying to get this cooldown back. It's still not there. Now the body block, but there's the pluck. Sobek makes it work. The heroic escape succeeds.
The rotation from the Agni looked like it was going to be great and insane, and it was good. The problem that it was Jet had no mana. Had enough for 2 abilities, and that was it, and it showed because Agni's just chasing down El Dirty Bubble over there. Low HP, but can't do anything about it. You know, he threw up the gas to go and those noxious fumes to sit there and try to get a stun, but he didn't have an ability to follow it up, and oh yeah, that's just upsetting. Able to secure their buff, though, and alleviate that pressure from the dual lane, so I think that's great.
I really think that from my perspective, Bubble on the Kuzenbo was so impact that it almost lends itself to requiring Thors to be just as impactful on the Kuzenbo, which isn't easy to do, especially when a Chang'e is able to do damage like that. To secure your green buff in front of your face. That's not fun.
Yeah.
But my question to you, and this is related to Thors. What was the key for Bubble's game that Thors can pick up?
High school cheerleader, me. Be aggressive.
Be aggressive.
Yep, there you go.
Be aggressive.
Absolutely. And I feel like I'm not getting that Thors that I'm used to seeing. I'm used to seeing Thors on these Ares, these Odins, getting in the face of his opposition, just being an absolute nuisance. And honestly, what we saw Bubble do back in game number 1, constantly chasing you down, constantly getting up there, and just absolutely, it doesn't matter if it's good for me or not. What's important is that it's bad for you.
That makes a lot of sense. That backs up the way we've seen the Kuzenbo playing. That's what Nemesis will set up to do for Floosh. It's a dead banana in the dual lane. 3 kills total now for Death Dealers, and they've all come fairly square so far. Which you hate to see if you're Kaldr's good boys or if you're rooting for them. Man, that damage is good from the rain fire. Agni will aggress onto the Chang'e, but gotta be careful. Because look who's here. It's Bastet. Agnes realized his mishap here. There's the beat, turns around, gets a stun, gets the rain fire, gets the death. He's low. The cat is too strong. There was also a tower death in there, so go back and get your screenshot. But the Agni almost pulling off the 1v2.
That was about to be extremely upsetting, I have to say. Jet ended up going with that divine pickup himself instead this time, and I'm sure he's feeling it out and feels how good it feels to have that kind of DPS online right now, get that damage off, because what looked like it was going to be an extremely unfortunate situation of Jet being out of position. You know, there's no other way to really put that. He was overstretching, looking for a pick right there on some damage that he thought he had. And being able to turn that around and at least get a trade and almost get two, I think that was absolutely huge.
Cthulhu almost had a kill onto Hercules, instead decided to take it back after using that ultimate. So looking at items, so if we have time, Sobek's going to go for a pluck. He misses it. Does get the knockback, but that should give us a moment. I do want to talk about the first item for Hercules, picked up after the Warrior's X.
The Caduceus shield? No, Caduceus guy. I say it every
Club?
time. Yeah,
Hammer?
I say it every time.
Something?
Such a habit. I'm useless to, like, my mind says cat club, or I see the CAD and I'm like, great. My heart says CAD shield every time. So your healing dealt is increased by 30%. That's Sekhmet's. So it's neither. My eyes are just terrible and I never build anything in this tree outside of Vital. So Sekhmet's being picked up over here, you're going to be able to have that. See, you heal yourself, you get the CDR, and then for your next 5 seconds, you get the cooldowns reduced by 1 second by just damaging an enemy god. So, looking to play a CDR build, I'm probably not going to be too surprised if we end up seeing full CDR with Bobble. This is going to be a Genji's probably in this item slot.
So looking to be absolutely unkillable, which could prove to be a difference maker for Death Dealers, the way the solos have been lining up. Mid lane, certainly killable. Could be this Agni. Best tech gets pushed back, but almost worked out. Dirty Bubble gonna find the kill after the Huntress did find a home. So perhaps that pull was not the best of choices there for Death Dealers to make, as it does cost them their mid laner. Kaldr's Good Boys, second kill on the board.
Jet still reaping what he sowed from that over-aggression around the red buff long ago.
Oh, Herc.
Not
Herc's
having
almost dead. Oh, he got him! No, we were just hyping up the item, and Cthulhu able to find the solo kill. Nemesis will get over to try to make it happen, but meanwhile, duo lane on her with the late beads. The jump away. Now it's a full dive. The blades. He held on to Desert's Fury. Can he find Eddie? No. Noxus will find that kill on Tafoosh.
Here comes the Kaldr's Good Boys yet again. Just what we saw in game number 1, playing aggressive in the jungle of the Death Dealers, looking for something and being absolutely thirsty about it. They're hungry, they're sinking their fangs into this and just trying to do as much as they can. Now looking for the invade, does not actually get it. Instead, now it looks like Big Black Banana's going to be in a difficult position. Doesn't have the beads available, just ended up using them, but the stun's off the mark. He's going to be able to get away.
8 minutes. 50 seconds heading into that 9-minute mark, and it's 5-4. Gold lead, about 2,000. Favoring Kaldr's Good Boys. Much closer feeling game, but you're already starting to see that pendulum shift, just a little bit over to the side of Kaldr's Good Boys, where they had it the majority of game number 1. So if you're rooting for that order side, it's a nerve-wracking sight to see, to say the least, Zach. How can you kind of wrangle back control at this point if you are the Death Dealers?
It feels like the majority of this lead is over on the back of Stretch Milk over here in the solo lane. This Cthulhu's been kind of allowed to exist in lane, and that's not something that you want to see, because come these mid lane game team fights, when that Lulu makes that rotation for the Beacon, for the Gold Fury, for your mid-tier 1 tower, for the Pyromancer, whatever it may be, he's going to be getting in there, he's going to be a menace until he can get shut down. And, you know, we had this Nemesis get picked, but it's not feeling like it's getting utilized over here too early, but it's been getting utilized. Don't get me wrong.
Nice push on the Cthulhu, but being level 10 to Cthulhu's level 12 Means that tower's not doing a whole lot, but it can do a lot in the mid lane onto the Chang'e. That damage is really good. The ultimate from Chang'e could not do enough to dissuade the Death Dealers. They still look for the dive, but a lot of time being wasted. Now Chang'e takes the correct turn, but then runs into the Agni, who gets the dash, but she's still alive, she's still cooking, and now Stretch Milk is here. He brings down Jet forever. Finally, they'll handle Bathwater, but look at the damage done, and look what could follow. We get a bird's eye view of destruction coming from the Cthulhu. On the landing, the damage still good. Nemesis nearly dead. Sobek and Bastet looking to go back in and help out, and Stretch doesn't even need it to handle my Lanston. Just the Hercules left standing in that solo lane. Kaldr's good boys with another great fight. They clean up the Herc. There they go. My goodness. Double kill for Stretch Milk. And another great fight that looks more like game one, Kaldr's good boys.
Yeah. You know, first off,
ooh, big
the
1v1
aggression.
duo. Foosh got it. Every time. Happens every time, Zach. You go to make a point, and one of the side lanes is like, okay, but what if we play duel?
Okay, they're all dead right now. I can talk, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is your open door.
First off, good job, Foosh. You won those 1v1s, and that's what matters. Into somebody who's built mannequins. You got a full upgrade of your Devils already. Proud of you. I'm golf clapping for you right now. You can't hear it. But I'm trying to remember my train of thought that we were getting at before. Yes, the aggression coming out of the Kaldr's good boys. They are living rent-free in the jungle of the Death Dealers. Is it wards that needs to get done? Is it just being able to recognize that we can punish these individuals for making these choices? It's going to come down to the Death Dealers making the kind of calls. One thing that I did say for certain that I'm really upset about is not seeing this Nemesis get utilized over in solo lane enough in the early game.
An engage goes through. Sobek has gotten the worst of it so far. It did go to the waters for some safety that will give enough leeway for Kaldr's good boys to back up. Death Dealers take the time to go to the City B, but look who's here. It's the raid boss from solo. Cthulhu goes big boy mode, and the big boy damage follows up. But this time he's alone, and he's taking a lot of damage. Chang'e can't give the backup needed, and Stretch Milk will fall to Floosh. Continuing what we saw in that duo lane, they'll grab the Stygian Beacon as well. So not exactly the rotation that we've been expecting to see from this Cthulhu, given what we've seen so far.
There's a hunter here, and there's a hunter that's been kept even with the pace of the game, and honestly ahead of the pace of the game. And that is something you got to worry about. I've mentioned it time and time again. And we were talking back in Picks and Bans. It's like, oh, you know, even with Odin off the table, even though they're not like, hold my thought right now, as Mr. Nacho decided to make a rotation instead and pick Bathwater for sale, had the beads available, but still got plucked and pushed right into the team comp of the Death Dealers, who are now opting for the Gold Fury.
I do like the Gold Fury call, but it is scary because look at the bottom of the map, Zach. Look at the Ishtar showing up and taking down Jet forever. The Gold Fury's low. Jet dashes in. Death Dealers do get that Gold Fury, but Ishtar is still pumping out damage. Sobek finally shows up for some backup for the Ishtar. And Death Dealers take that as their cue to exit on stage left for some safety. But a big pickup of the Gold Fury for Death Dealers on her with an ambitious back out of mana in front of the face of Kaldr's good boys, and no tier 1 tower to speak of. The pluck should be the death note for on her, and it will indeed be the case.
You can't have that. It was just giving you a compliment, Foosh, and stepping up right there, I think, is gonna be a little bit of a hurt. I know there's a word there, but hurt is the best thing I wanted to say, and I couldn't think. Gonna be hurting a little bit for the Death Dealers because it felt like Foosh was this kind of the keystone in an arch right now, holding here in game number 2. He's pacing the game, he's keeping it real, he's keeping up with the leads across the map of the enemy team, which is why when that Cthulhu made the rotation, it didn't feel as impactful. Foosh came on over and made sure that it wasn't. You have a hunter who's got full Devos online, has the Executioner online, lands a couple autos, and especially when Stretch Milk wasn't focused on doing anything to this on her, he was chasing somebody else in that beacon fight. It showed how much damage Foosh can do even without having him sit inside of a pillar damage and take that increased damage from the on her pillar. So I think just back up. You don't need that wave. I'll say it. You don't need that wave. You guys got the Gold Fury. It's fine. Reset.
And they got the Pyromancer at 1448 as well. So gold is piling up for the Death Dealers. And they need to turn that gold into something because that gold is ridiculously even. It's rare you see it get dead even this late into a game. 15 minutes in now, 9-9 as well. So even Stevens is the name of the game. It's not in solo lane. That does still favor Cthulhu, who has been very impactful in these fights, but notably a 3v3 on the left-hand side. Mid's in mid. Solo's in solo. So the teleporter could be a factor if it continues, but hey! Put down the guns! Pick up the dance party! Let's go! Who threw the cat? Bastet! Lock it down! That's pissed me off.
It's just one of those Shrek 2 moments where it's like, for 5 minutes, Bastet, can you not be yourself? For 5 minutes! 5 seconds in this instance, and speaking of 5 seconds, Agni doesn't have 5 seconds to live. Already used the dash, already used the Aegis, ends up getting sent onto the gray screen jet, walking right into the hands of Stretch Milk.
I'm very upset about what just happened. I almost don't want to call what's happening. I'm very, very upset at this Bastet and the behavior.
Anthony pouting.
That we've seen. Yeah, I am upset. Huntress to Bass brings back the Nemesis, but she's still alive. Now the Kuzenbo goes in. Oh, look, the Sobek's in the water. When he comes out, he's going to do 20 damage to the tanky Herc. Oh, a pluck too. You can't kill him. Doesn't matter. He's fine. Your stupid cat isn't going to help this time either. This ruins the fun, Bastet. Another cat. I hate cooldowns. She's building a bobble too. Ah!
Next week's therapy session, we're going to be inviting Anthony in. Team fight here in the middle lane. The Boulder almost securing the kill onto the Sobek. Very close right there. Ends up bouncing off of that beacon pillar. Death Dealer's looking to hold on to the HP of there. Stop
Me
that.
too! Me too with the surrender.
That's twice.
That was my F6 button.
Yes, casters have put in the F6 vote. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Anthony's getting outvoted right now. Salty cancel this. He's not.
And you know what? The most embarrassing part for all parties involved.
The tier 2
Nothing
tower.
happened in all that time. I was freaking out.
Tier 2 tower over in the dual lane got taken. Big Black Banana was over there split pushing.
750 gold for the team.
So that's kind of cool. They did get the beacon too. It's gonna be a little bit extra. And now Gold Fury is back up. The Pyromancer's soon to spawn, and you know what's
that hurts.
not soon to spawn is the purple buff. It's about 2 minutes out.
What a game. What a game so far. Oh boy, okay. Primal Fury's up. Pyromancer is about to respawn, as Zach said. It's 9-10, and we're back grouped in the mid lane once again. That bobble is online for the Bastet. So the cooldown's going to be cooking. There's a jump looking for the Agni. Damage will be good. There's one cat. Just wait 2 seconds, and you'll see another cat flying through the air. The fight does fizzle, but the risk is there. The damage is there.
I don't like the bobble, and you and I kind of spoke about it yesterday a little bit. I'm going to hold that thought because they're not giving me a chance to talk about it. Huntress of Bass comes down onto the Nemesis, gets followed up
Big
by the
dash.
Minion charge.
The cat!
Ends up getting a cat. It's a cat every time. Oh.
It's the cat indeed. Hercules shows up to the fight here. We'll run into Cthulhu. They're still not quite on equal terms. Level 19 is that Cthulhu. That could be the difference maker in this fight, but a nice Watery Grave comes out and does big numbers with Floosh, getting a solo kill on the left-hand side. It's looking good for blue, but the Cthulhu turned the tides by going big boy mode yet again, and Stretch Milk will bring down Jet forever. That's 12 kills total now for Kaldr's Good Boys. And with Hercules kind of in no man's land in the mid lane, that tier 2 tower is close to dead. You have to feel like Kaldr's Good Boys have found something that just clicks for them in this game number 2.
Yeah, they found their opening and they're seizing that opportunity. It looks really good, but I'm not going to count the Death Dealers out at all right now. They're looking to make that comeback. They can utilize the lower HP bars of the members of the Kaldr Good Boys right now. Look for that Pyromancer. Look for that mid-tier one. Look for a Gold Fury. Do something right now. It's only a 3K game. Teleport back in, though, from Stretch Milk might not allow that to happen.
Another full team grouping in that mid lane with Primal and Pyro up. So you'd think the battle for position would turn into instant objectives, but both teams are taking their time. Finally, Kaldr's Good Boys decide to walk over to that Pyromancer. There will be no contest for that Pyro by the time it goes down. So Fire and Primal, now the main targets.
You can't contest what you don't know what's going on. No vision is really getting placed across the map. I see one ward down, and it's right at that top of the... Oh god, Oracle Pit. I only wanted to say Oreo, and that's not right. that's
The double stuffed Oracle Pit.
It's just like that's the what we call it. It just stuck in my head, and I couldn't remember its actual name for 2 seconds there. Oh, that bothered me. The Oracle Pit, sitting right there. Look at that.
Primal Fury was touched and
going
let
down.
go instantly. Double stuffed Oracles go down. Bastet gonna run into Nemesis. A risky fight to take with 1,500 cats in a dream running at you. But Agni's got fire, and fire beats cat. Forget rock, paper, scissors. Bastet, run. Cthulhu into the sky, doing big damage yet again, making that Nemesis a target. The Nemesis can't catch a break. And Death Dealers don't know how to fight around this Cthulhu in these last few fights. My dude's running at the Phoenix. Where's the team? Nemesis, go ahead, type in your chat. Oh, the blink, she's insane! Meanwhile, fight in mid lane still going. 2-man dash with a 2-man stun from Mr. Nacho. Into the rain, fire helps Bathwater go down. And Kaldr's Good Boys call a good old-fashioned retreat. But they've got their Cthulhu still in deep. They might lose their Sobek as well. There's the dash. Will they turn on the Cthulhu? That does seem to be the goal. There's the jump in. The pillar not going to catch the dash of Cthulhu. Hercules looks for it, cannot find it himself. So both the Guardians, despite way overcommitting, do get away.
Not going to be able to punish the Cthulhu specifically there. Has the teleport going to be able to make his way on back? Gets the reset off. Now Kuzenbo pushed up a little bit, but the Death Dealers might be able to punish the Kaldr's Good Boys, and they do just that. They end up taking away the Primal Fury off that aggression from the Kaldr's Good Boys.
Cthulhu still looking to be the instigator for
Ooh, that
Kaldr's
caught.
Good Boys. And oh, the Huntress hit! Hercules will go down to Stretch Milk, the 8th kill for Cthulhu. The Kaldr's Good Boys, even when they don't have it work, they make it happen.
Had the Cthulhu died back there, I think everything would have shifted. Because this Cthulhu being 8-1 would have been 7-1. I don't know how big the lead is right now, or how big the bounty is on the Cthulhu right now. I meant to say. With the Lulu dead, that would have made that Gold Fury play much, much safer. Might have even caused the Kaldr's Good Boys to lose another member by looking to stretch into it and then rotate it into a Fire Giant. But now, speaking of rotating into Fire Giant, Kaldr's Good Boys see this as a perfect opportunity for themselves.
They do. Death Dealers are aware despite the lack of wards, but the Fire Giant is already down to half health. Kaldr's Good Boys get off of it. Cthulhu looking to start the fight yet again. Kuzenbo, though, is keeping his team away, so they're unable to help, so Cthulhu has just taken poke. Hercules TP's into the back line, has an opportunity to make a play set up for the Death Dealers themselves, but still, no one with damage has done anything until the Chang'e goes in, does big numbers to on her, and then falls back to retreat. The Huntress caught Nemesis, who was able to find that Chang'e. When the Nemesis got brought back, she instantly died to the Noxus. Now a 3-man stun keeps Kaldr's Good Boys from stepping up further. They've lost one. Death Dealers lost one. Who gets the tipping point? Could be Kaldr's if they could find that Herkadirk. There is the damage, still not down. Death Dealers will be able to retreat only 1-for-1 somehow.
Battle of the Baubles. I thought for sure it was over, but I guess it's not. Okay, so I can't even talk about what I was about to talk. Dashing into the tier 2 tower, now looking to pick up the Agni, forcing the double relics. Noxus still ends up getting Jet and sending him on back to the gray screen, but will they get punished for this? The Ishtar is low. The Ishtar is gone. Mr. Nacho ends up getting that one. 2 more lower HP bars for the Kaldr's Good Boys, and the Death Dealers are jumping at them, trying to chase them down. I don't think they're going to be able to catch them. That is a Sobek and a Bastet. What I was going to say has now slipped my mind. Thank you very much. Hercules, yes, peeling for his Agni as they were running past that red buff pit. I thought he was dead to rights, but showed me otherwise because he used that shield of regrowth, breastplate of regrowth. I keep saying the shields, and plus his bauble, having that 50% ZDR and the extra cooldown from his Sekhmets. So, showing us, I guess, this cooldown build is putting in some work. He's a zoomy boy.
We've talked a lot about the Cthulhu.
Yes.
Damage-wise, though, looking at Kaldr's good boys again, who did take game 1, so they are in the hot seat to make the sweep happen. I do want to talk about the Noxus Bastet, because that has been a gross pilot of the Bastet so far from Noxus.
He's getting all the right picks at the right time, and I'm not saying he's not dealing any damage, don't get me wrong. What I want to say, though, is that he's always got somebody there with him to help him deal that damage. When he's picking somebody, I feel like, you know, he's calling that he's picking somebody. He's 5-0-5, so getting the damage off himself, for sure. You can look over at the player damage charts and see that he's done 15,000 right now, 26 minutes into game number 2. Up there in the top end of the player damage charts, that is. But always has somebody with him when he's looking to do something. And it shows, whether it be follow-up CC, follow-up damage, whatever it needs to be to lock down that kill. So I really like that, and I want to say it's attributed to comms, which is really good for the Kaldr's good boys.
We talk about posturing. This is why. A grouping through mid, all 5, ready to rumble. Who's going to make the initiation? It's been a Cthulhu a lot of the time. Kuzumbo and Herc have been responding to Cthulhu going in. Looks like both teams a bit timid this time, not wanting to be the one to overstep, but Kuzumbo is already in deep. Nemesis will have to catch up. There's damage finding the way. Kuzumbo a pluck as well. It's go time for both sides. Cthulhu gets slowed down from ulting. Will it matter? Death Dealers getting walked back. They're taking big damage. They've yet to respond as well. They might have to get out of there. They're about to lose Kuzin. They're about to lose on her. They lose the Nemesis to Stretch Milk. Death Dealers down a jungler, down a lot of health, and Kaldr's good boys are still making the push up, looking for the tier 2. Can't find it yet. Bastet will have to retreat on out, but that will be the end of that tier 2. Cthulhu got poked as well, but was able to back and TP in, so he's full health, which means Fire Giant is the call.
I'm going to be honest. I'm wondering if Asunder would have been much better for Nacho than that Blink. Being able to just... Not going to be able to talk about it right now because the tanks of the Death Dealers are looking to stop a Fire Giant from not even happening, and it's not happening. Gets flushed back, and Jet is here, though!
Oh my god, the turnaround! Kaldr's good boys almost up in flames. So far, it's a 1 for 2. A respawn soon for the Nemesis. Will she get there in time to be a difference maker? So far, not needed, because Bathwater goes down for a double kill for Jet Forever. Nacho will bring down the Cthulhu. All of a sudden, what's happening? Kaldr's good boys are going down, but Bastet has a bobble and has plenty of cats. Is that enough to keep alive and stop things from happening? Nemesis here. There's the damage. Bastet on the retreat to get out. The blink, the jump to avoid the knockup is perfectly timed, but look who's waiting. It's the Agni. The dash is good. The dash from Nem is even better. Deicide, Death Dealers, make it happen.
2 for 5 in what I thought was about to be the Death Dealers tanks just getting plucked in, blown up by the Kaldr's good boys response. 29-minute mark, you got a Deicide, you're pulling the Fire Giant. I don't think they have the DPS to do it, unfortunately. Gonna be eating those knockups. Herc taking a lot of damage. Nemesis doing their best. They might actually have enough to deal it, but that Astral Shot is going to... Might
the
be
heal?
the end of it. Oh,
Get out of there, Herc.
Agni's in
The
now.
Agni went in! He's insane! Death Dealers get the Fire Giant, but Sobek gets Jet Forever. Herc is low too, so they gotta go. Cthulhu is here, Zach. Death Dealers risked it all, but it might not be worth it. They cannot get out. It's a full commit looking for that Hercules. They're gonna find him. Ishtar gets run into by Flush, though, who's able to clean it up because Kaldr's good boys are diving fountain for the Nem. They will get her. My Lanston goes down to Stretch Milk, who is now in the definition of no man's land. Time to go but the dash good from the Kuzenbo, and he accepts it. Floosh will bring him down as well. It's a throw into a bigger throw. All in all, 3 dead for Death Dealers, 2 dead for Good Boys. Fire Giant on Kuzenbo.
I mean, do you need it on anybody else? Let's be honest here. Keep it on the turtle. No one else gets fire. We'll call it even, Stevens, and move on with our lives. Now, though, with 2 members down from both of their sides, and primarily with that Cthulhu off the map and the ADC of the Kaldr's Good Boys, it seems like ample opportunity to make a play around here, around this objective. The Primal Fury, maybe even push up some towers in the mind. Kuzenbo forced into that watery grave, found himself in a difficult position between 3 members of the Kaldr's Good Boys, and now they are putting up the pressure, looking to get some picks here.
Kaldr's Good Boys are not afraid to dive anything, even sometimes when it goes against what works for them. Sobek had to use the ultimate, matter of fact, to get away, and Death Dealers see that. They chase out Kaldr's Good Boys. Primal Fury, if that's a target, will not be free. Matter of fact, could be the big fight if somebody gets baited in.
I can see it happening right now.
I sense it in my bones.
My bones are shivering right now. I'm not feeling it good. Not feeling good right now.
Oh boy. Primal's at half. Kaldr's Good Boys are looking. They might consider it. It does go to Death Dealers, but Hercules is a bit deep. But wisely. With age comes maturity. With a lot of weeks comes patience. Death Dealers do not force that fight. They get the Primal Fury and they back up.
I'm going to be honest, I would not have been patient at all there. I would have kept my Sobek out there and blinked in with the Lulu, just gotten in the middle of everything and just popped the ultimate instantly and just say, what are you going to do about it? And just march forward. So kudos to them for having significantly more patience than I would have to just make the aggressive call of like, we're going in right now.
Where do we go next? 32 minutes, 20-21. The gold lead has just been 2 magnets this entire game.
Well, the Kaldr's Good Boys have been in the fountain 3 times of the Death Dealers without taking a Phoenix. So I think usually taking towers is a good opportunity, especially with no other objectives on the map, and there's 4 of them remaining on the side of the Kaldr's Good Boys.
Can they kill this Hercules? They're committing a lot to the task. But it's a very tall task at that. Hercules is dropping low. Oh my goodness. Huge heal, but it didn't matter. Stretch Milk able to bring down Mr. Nacho with the help of Kaldr's Good Boys. They're going to find another. They can dash up. They can take this. This could be the game right here. Only 3 left standing so far for Death Dealers. Make it 2. Floosh trying to turn it back around. Finds Dirty Bubble. Stands strong, but goes down. Only Kuzenbo remains. And Noxus and the Pussycats might have just won themselves a sweep of the #1 seed. They take the Phoenix out. Titan time. Throne Room Siege is on. It's going to be a 4v1, but it's the Kuzenbo with Fire Giant. Don't forget him. Down to half health. He'll look for it. It's tough. The Huntress will stop him. It's down to a quarter. No kills. 1 kill, but he will fail. And Kaldr's Good Boys will win the set.
So we're putting a band together. The name of the band is Noxus and the Pussycats. Either that or it's going to be the new org coming in the season 4. Stay tuned for that one. We'll find out later. Well, what I thought was... I actually had a very strong feeling that the Death Dealers were going to prove me wrong from my thoughts from picks and bans. They were going to come out and just actually take us to a game number 3 right there. I'm not saying they played it at all incorrectly. No, they actually surprised me, which is why I was like, oh, great. They're really coming in here and putting on a good show. They're taking a lead. They're taking some good chances, and it looks really nice. The unfortunate part is the Kaldr's Good Boys just had better responses. And I don't even think had better responses. They just had better opening statements, you know, like, okay, cool, you know, it's not a response if we're the ones talking first kind of thing. I want to say that the Death Dealers just didn't have anything to deal with the front line. It's like, sure, Noxus was moving around and getting some good damage off, getting really nice picks, but why? Why was he able to do that? There was so much space getting provided by Stretch Milk and Dirty Bubble. It was unbelievable in the team comp. of the Death Dealers could not handle it. And it showed. And even in game number one, if you look back there, it was kind of that same issue of this front line is here. There's so much space being dealt, and it's allowing the back line to move from one target to the next absolutely free.
It does kind of just feel like our perception of that game was not incorrect in the sense of we didn't know. It was incorrect in the sense of Calder's good boys just knew what they were trying to do seemingly the whole time. You said it right before the final fight. They may not be on paper winning, but they have dove the fountain 3 times at that point, and they did it a fourth time. That fourth time just happened to take the Titan with it. So they always had it working. They just weren't they weren't doing the puzzle. They were hanging up the box on their wall and saying, "Oh, look at the puzzle I did." And somebody said, "Hey, that's the back of your Marvel's Avengers puzzle." And they said, "No, it's not. That's my puzzle." And that's how they played, but it worked and they took the 2-0.
I only thought of freaking pinhead puzzle box. And I was like, puzzle hang up box. I'm like, this isn't working in my head. But we're good. I realized where your analogy was going, and I agree entirely. But what I want to add on to that is, with them just being Calder's good boys, that is, living kind of rent free inside of the heads of the Death Dealers, inside of the fountain of the Death Dealers for certain. There wasn't any punishment getting done. And the fact that they were able to do that showed just the game state throughout the entirety of game number two here, when it felt like the Death Dealers were making comebacks, making it look really good. The Calder's good boys the entire time had it in their heads that, hey, yeah, we still got a lead. I don't care for 1,000 down or if it's dead even. Doesn't matter. We still have the mental lead right now, and we have the ability to pressure them because the momentum is in our favor, and we're able to just move it in, run it down, and shove it right down their throats. And they did just that. And we saw right there at that ending team fight, no hesitation.
They did. They did just that. They just made it work and they topple number 1 seed in the best time to do it, week number 8. That's going to be all that Zach and I have for now, but it does look like there's another cast tonight at 10 o'clock with Dr. Shrew, Snips, and D-Ken. So make sure you stick around for that one. That is a Canes game as well. And if you like the kind of action we brought to you tonight, tomorrow night as well, there's one at 7 o'clock. That's Walker Division. So stick around on Frank's Retirement Home for those. My name's been Anthony Malm, joined by Zach Vexel with Salty on production. You all have a great night and be safe.